How effective is ye olde rock in a sock as a weapon, since it's so readily available in various circumstances? Yeah. Winners don't do powder that makes you say, yeah. It is a soft pendulum. It can efficiently generate much power but without a rigid rod. Deflection is very hard. The control is lost when the socks are not in tension. The sock can warp around, hit the backside, or entangle. It can also be thrown to make up for a lack of reach. Makeshift flail. Also can be thrown like a sling. Grug approved. You can literally kill someone with it surprisingly quick. So yeah, I'd say it's pretty damn effective. Against unarmed or poorly armed opponents, probably pretty well. A rock to the head will always be a viable way of knocking someone out or killing them. Your caveman progenitor swore of its effectiveness. It would be very uncomfortable. You're a big guy. Brick in a sock is superior. Those small metal cans of vending machines will do sizable remodeling of even skulls. Between that and plexiglass shanks, I got along fine with everybody in State Pen. Nice bunch of folks. It depends on how fast you can swing it, and where you'll be able to hit with it. E.g., if you manage to strike on the back of somebody's head, you can basically kill a retard. Did that. I've got a fish beater rod. Seems pretty light, but suppose if you hit someone in the back of the head, it would do the job. Behind the head strikes are surprisingly devastating, yeah. Saw a couple dudes get their shit split imprisoned by padlock in a sock. Pool ball would be prime. What is the most optimal weighted object to insert into the sock? Does the type of sock also affect matters? Ooh, good question. Is the amount of energy that one can put into the rock constant, regardless of its weight? Or is there a particular weight that one can swing around with more energy than heavier or lighter rocks? I'm thinking there is. At the lower limit, I can make an infinitely light rock go infinitely faster, so energy goes to zero. And above a certain mass, I can't even lift the rock, much less swing it around with some dexterity. So energy is also zero. So there has to be an optimal mass with max energy somewhere between a grain of sand and a boulder. There's also the one where you bend up something like a newspaper over and over until it's solid, then punch it into someone. Millwall brick. It's better than nothing, provided you have a long sock made of proper wool. Biggest concern would probably be durability, because the head is going to fail sooner or later if you're actually connecting with your strikes. Why rock in a sock instead of just using the rock? You get more swing than just hitting someone with a small rock in your hand. It'll do damage, but there's a good chance you'll hit yourself if you're not careful. Truly, you people are Philistines. Socks are for love, not war. New weapon dropped. M111 grenade. This is the first picture of the real thing. What a delectable charcuterie board. Looks asymmetrical. You're mad, schizo. What's the RDX charge on this? M67 had a pretty large amount of explosives and this looks bigger. PAX 3 is HMX blended with aluminum for enhanced blast. Nice, finally, an offensive grenade. I too would feel offended if someone threw a grenade at me. Defensive grenades require you to throw from cover, offensive ones can be thrown willy-nilly. It yells xenophobic slurs in the air. Could they really not find that guy a nicer helmet? Finally, a new offensive hand grenade, PAX 3 filler. One of the key attributes of PAX 3 is its exceptional stability, rendering it resistant to external factors such as impact, friction, and temperature variations. Spicy and stable. I love it. The truth I shall share without sentiment. After the advent of fire, the ancient lords found the 3 souls. But your progenitor found a 4th, unique soul, the dark soul. The ancestor claimed the dark soul and waited for fire to subside. Handheld thermobarics, wholly based. The red one is an AN M14 incest grenade. A what? Incest grenade. People who have incest are immune to its effects. I thought those caused incest, similar to the gay bomb. What's the fall-off radius for the explosion of incest? At what point do you still feel it, but are only sort of thinking about it? There's people like me. You're trapped in the middle of this island. There's a rescue boat waiting for you on the coast. Between you and the boat is every carnivorous dinosaur from the Jurassic Park films. You have one gun and all the ammo you can carry for that gun. What gun would you use? Arma, Dino Crisis expansion map. Jumping in to point out that OP specified Jurassic Park films, so we can disregard those god-awful Jurassic World films entirely. You have one gun and all the ammo you can carry for that gun. What gun would you use? M4A3 Sherman mounting the 105mm howitzer and all the HE it can carry. If this counts as a gun, then a split of HE heat canister and gas rounds, bandoliered to every part of my body. Are there heat rounds for that? Dual purpose HE/heat. Carnivorous dinosaur. Like mammals, the most dangerous dinosaurs will be the herbivores stomping the shit out of you. Carnivorous dinosaurs would likely be far too unsure of what you are to see you immediately as prey. Malcolm from the first Jurassic Park book asks Hammond why the raptors actively hunt humans and the fat Scottish fuck ignores him. They call me Battlefield 3 multiplayer the way I be running USAS 12 with frag rounds. Also buck, bird, and slugs. Colt 45, single action army. 2 of them. Climb a tree so these sources can't get me. I think I just die. What one gun can be used to fend off both a T-Rex or any large carnivore and those little assholes that eat Peter Stormer's character after he zaps them? Barrett M107 with an underbarrel 1022? Oh boy, it's this thread again. One gun. Anzio super lightweight. On what coast, retard? What part of the map are we starting? The whole island has a fucking coast. Not OP, but here you go. This should be the hardest path. Yeah, I'd just go along the coast the entire time. Easy scenario. Don't need to fire a single shot. You have to pick up your 9-year-old pink tutu-wearing daughter from the Pteranodon area in the rough middle of the island. And before, I can always try for another kid, your Bitcoin wallet password is there too. Damn! The dinosaurs are gonna steal all my Bitcoins. Velociraptor says buy the dip. You dummies are forgetting an important fact. Dinosaurs are birds. Just load up with a good semi-auto shotgun and a variety of shells to break their delicate avian bones to dust. Plus, buckshot spread has got to be the best way to clear raptors. MP5 and 6.5 by 25mm CBJ and a hiker's backpack full of loaded magazines. I miss Operation Genesis. The newer games don't have that feel. I am now once again mad at how dirty they did Gennaro in both the movie and the books. Spends entire book trying to do the right thing, putting himself in danger and earnestly caring about the safety of the park. Reward is to be viciously belittled in the last chapter for not wanting to run directly into the raptor nest for no reason. Killed off-screen by AIDS in between books. And then of course in the movie, loses all positive traits and absorbs another character's negative ones only to be killed off. Book Muldoon casually blows up dinosaurs with fucking AT-4s. Movie Muldoon encourages vehicle safety, short shorts enthusiast, dies because he doesn't unfold the Spaz 12 stock before hunting for some reason. Casually blows up dinosaurs with fucking AT-4s whilst drinking scotch. I'm probably picking a PKM or something similar, meaning PKM since it's lighter for a belt fed and easier to carry and shoot offhand at closer things. Should be able to carry a lot of ammo too. Alternatively, since I have no experience with belt feds, an AR-10 chambered in .338 Federal would be nice. Harder hitting and better penetration for some of the bigger threats, but the ammo itself doesn't weigh quite as much as going up even higher in caliber. Just raid the gun locker for Spaz 12s and M16A2s. Literally just an AR-15 with a few mags, some bug spray, water, and some snacks. It's like an 8-mile walk and just the sound of the gun is gonna scare most scale away. Wesley Richards magazine rifle and 505 Gibbs or that Fostech Origin 12 with bird, buck, and slug ammunition. Condoms. Anything that is going to effectively down a wide variety of dinosaurs is going to suck to carry a bunch of ammo for. I'd rather have a 12 gauge, a box of slugs, plus Alan Grant and whatever he says to bring that lets us minimize our human signatures to dinosaurs trying to eat us. You are a security guard on the 4chan space prison. Your mission, contain the horrors within it. Why contain it? Be me, new guard, chilling in guard booth. Watch K-dramas. 13:30. Patrol failed to check in. Probably hitting on normal fags from sock.mp3. Have to go check them. Shrugs. Picks up rifle. Press check. Walks out of booth. Walks past /mu/cells. Comfytunes.mp3. Checks map. Radio controls. Where are they? They respond. Last check-in was near high security B lock. Oh no.ini. Goes to B lock. Vault door opens. Gas masks on. Safety's off. Brings Scar 17 to low ready. Opens inner door. Fog blows past. Steps inside. Unknown liquid oozing from the walls. Rainbow Dash Dakimakura standing up on its own. Lanky fuck huddled in a corner jerking off to anime girl feet. Ignore him. I don't bother him, he won't bother me. See flashlight on the ground. The bulb isn't warm. It's been here for a while. Next to it are several shell casings. There's a trail. Follow trail. Come to guard leaned against the wall. Several bodies surround him. Pistols in hand. Bullet hole in the skull. Went out fighting.exe. Press F to salute. Go to collect his dog tags. Push to the ground from behind. Turn to see the troglodyte with hentai shirt. Shot him on the head. One shot, one kill. Others notice. They attack. Switch to full auto. One mag after another, they fall to the floor. Out of ammo. Switching to your secondary is faster than reloading. Pull pistol. Too late. The trog leapt on me. Feel their wet bodies against me. They pull my gas mask off. The most horrid smell known to man enters my nose. They start to undress. Things are looking grim. Reach for standard issue HE grenade. Gonna drag as many of these degens with me to hell as possible. Pull pin. I'm ready, are you .mp3? The sound of thunder echoes throughout the station. No mercy. Jesus, Anons. That's pretty fucking rude to say about Bajorans. Invent a prison Federal Reserve. Easy. Sounds like it's time to hire some Bajoran war criminals and a weird guy that sleeps in a bucket to handle this. Be me, set guard. One of the inmates approaches my booth that controls the rec room entrance doors. His vile, cardy face looks smudged through the foot of transparent aluminum/duranium alloy separating us as he leers at me. Unable to focus, I click the intercom button. Unless someone's getting shanked, please fuck off, inmate 8849. The cardy in turn presses the intercom button on his side. Mr. Anon, do you rape inmates based on race or gender? What.jpg? Inmate 8849, what in God's name are you talking about? You know, do you rape based on race or gender? The motherfucker pulls up 8 stitched together pieces of paper done in crayon that seem to be a labyrinth of crude scribbles, arrows, and slurs. I feel my brain starting to swell the longer I look at it. I don't follow. It's quite simple, Mr. Anon. Say you have a female human prisoner and a male Bajoran prisoner that are in need of punishment. Will you rape the human based on her lesser gender? Or will you rape the Bajoran based on his lesser species? I feel my brain blue screening as I try to figure out what the fuck he just said to me. Let alone the fact that I'm actually trying to decide which is the correct answer. Before I can answer, my shift supervisor comes up to me and puts his hand on my shoulder. That will do, Anon. He's baited you. Go on your break and let it slide. As I get up and start walking, I hear the cardy scream out behind me. I'd hope you chose the Bajoran, cause there's a mouthy Bajoran twink in here in need of correction. My face win. Find attractive Kardashian female. Repeatedly insult her work performance, personal appearance, and personality. Have a number of children with her equal to the average onset of cardi menopause divided by the average length of Kardashian gestation. Immediately launch an operation to operationally take over station because the dumb fucks in charge allowed the inmates to guard the asylum. Execute Pol, X, MLP, BANT, CM, HM, LGBT, Y, and most of D. Seal B block and sever system connection as it's mostly bots and rogue AI stuck in loops. Boards like O, N, DIY, and FIT assigned to station development and well-being. Boards like A, C, Lit, and MU tasked with media creation. SOC, HC, and Biz in charge of station dating establishments and brothels. PW out, AN, and QST and some commandos tasked with acquiring actual real women for the station in away teams. Survivors of D tasked with creating actual cat girls and slime girls for, research purposes. Fit and CK in charge of station nutrition. Away teams also acquire ingredients while parts of AN operate hydroponic/aquaponic grow facilities. Assign teams from K, M, DIY, and G to high-tech weapons development. The boards not mentioned assigned to relevant tasks or executed where appropriate. The station state of Forchanistan will be a great and prosperous space nation. All will see our beams and despair. This station's security and internal defenses are terrible. I will immediately have 2,000 troops move in and secure the pomade with minimum of 100 KPVs. Now get out of my way. I need to talk with this Kai Win person I have been hearing such good things about. What I am absolutely certain of is I am not opening no goddamn ore refinery. Ore mining, gathering, transportation, refining, shipping, and processing all leads to horrible death tolls among station personnel. I institute a ban on all ore. Nothing good ever comes out of ore. Secondly, I will try to reform as many prisoners as possible. Not out of humanitarian concerns, though that'd be a nice bonus, but out of concern that if I let these apes throw their shit willy-nilly, there will never be a calm day. They're not getting out. But I'd at least like to be able to tell my officers when they do or do not have to bring spit guards. Attention, Albajoran workers, please report to the holodeck. Forget to turn off the intercom. Put on, "Oh, I wish I was in Cardassia," and sing along as I get changed. The rape of Bajor wasn't real, but it should have been. The proper way to do a space prison is to have no permanent guard presence aboard. Guard staff are on a neighboring station and have access to extensive surveillance and system control instead, with their directives being enforced by total control of food, water, oxygen, and general sundries and electrical supply to prisoners, and also complete control over internal hatches and the prison station self-destruct. Actual contact between prisoners and staff is only permissible in emergency circumstances. My first action is to make it station policy that Harry Kim will not be promoted, and any Harry Kim that attempts to receive a promotion anyway will be executed and replaced with another from the Harry Kim closet. I have no second action, as no matter what goes wrong, the station will return to the status quo full of prisoners and infinite shuttles within 45 minutes. Chief, I got a message from Starfleet. They've recently changed from the Voyager continuity to the Deep Space Nine continuity. We have about 4 minutes before the entire station falls apart like a rusty shed. Now more than ever do we need an ethnic hard-hitting chief of operations with enough pudge to believe he's a working-class man. Sir, we need Harry Kim. The first thing I would do is install cameras and RFID trackers everywhere. 99% of the crimes committed on Tarek Noor would have been instantly solved if they had a 24/7 video. Seriously, 2 Ferengi known criminals crawled through the ducts into the captain's office with 0 alarms set off. What if instead of prison cells we just mindfuck prisoners into thinking they spent decades in prison? I'm certain it'll save manpower. The best part about the mindfuck prison is that you can issue rehabilitation programs to prisoners for 0 cost. Space prison? Hell no. I know where this is going to go. All hands to battle stations. We're going to blow this station out of orbit and vaporize anything that survives. Cortana, you have the mech. Weapons free, fire at will. Be advised, the clown has escaped containment. Seal the bulkheads on decks 2 to 4 and fill them with VX now. All personnel on those levels, K will forever honor your sacrifice. Simple prisoner's dilemma. No spacesuits. Whole thing rigged to blow. I'm not there, either everyone behaves or the space prison gets nuked. Attention Bajoran prisoners. We've heard reports that some of you believe that the 9mm is superior to the 45 ACP based on statistics relating to ballistics performance in real-life scenarios. I would like to settle this debate by saying your wardens employ both. That'll be all. Glory to Cardassia. Kardashian sidearms only have 2 modes. 9mm for less lethal, and 45 ACP for kill. The year is 2XXX. My face when still issued a Smith & Wesson Model 10 and a PR-24 baton. Are 158 grain wad cutters even effective against the horrors? Be me, cleaning crew, the space station. Unpaid intern. Fuck my life. 1400. Boss man calls. Hi boss, what the fuck do you want from me this time, .ALAC? And one of the guards just heroed himself and a bunch of the others. Go clean it up. And where might that be? B. Shit. Good luck, have fun and on. Move. Click. Shit. Grab my Peltors and AirPods. Don my hazmat. Roll out mop and bucket. Let's do it. Get to B. Go inside. The scene before me can only be described as a crime against humanity against my eyes. And I haven't even gotten to the place I need to clean up yet. Spot the carnage. Ah shit, here we go again, .jpg. Get started. It doesn't take long for the residents to take notice. Unbeknownst to me, they slowly encircle me. Despite my ear pro, noise cancelling, and music blasting at full volume, I can still hear their chants. Clean it up, Janny, and he does it for free. Don't know how they figured that last one out. Finish up. Have to make my leave. Still surrounded. Open my fanny pack. Take out a bunch of shitty Polaroids with scantily dressed anime girls on them. Throw them to the side. They pounce on the pile like a pack of hungry wolves. Make my way out. Tip fedora as the door closes behind me. Die a little more on the inside. That feeling when now the base doctor. God help you all. Euthanasia is a valid medical discipline. Be me. Psych off on the prison station. Because apparently they trusted us commandos with being the capos. Surely nothing could possibly go wrong here. First shift. Don my finest LARP kit. Grab Raifu, HK-51B, because my wrists might not exist after using her. But neither will the other guy. Check duty roster. Trash wing. Fuck me, .png. I've heard some bad shit, which honestly hasn't surprised me seeing as it's trash, but I've heard the B-tards and B-lock is worse. I've already put in for the double strength CBRN seals. Anything else I should ask for? Int, HIST, and VST. One of these is getting cut. We need to make way for the VG inmates. The V-board wings are just being regularly decimated to keep making space. Routinely wiping out 1/10 of the population is proving rather sustainable. All is quiet. Nothing but crickets. Crickets. AN. Endless crickets devour their cell's metal bars. They pour out of AN cell. The adjacent out and D cells present no resistance. Strengthening, amassing. K cells gets into formation. 3 cells worth make the current onslaught. K has planned for 5 cells. Underwear elastic crossbows with plastic utensil bullets at the ready. Coordinated fire between the bars. Past the oncoming swarm. Across the prison, bullets hit their mark. Pole cell riddled, Swiss cheesed. Pole is no more. Weapons exhausted, their job done. Crickets overwhelm K. Worth it. .png. Crickets swarm towards G cell. The G cell supersonic defense sound system powers up with the THX logo sound. But the bit of wire you handle most, right where you plug it in, has worn out. So you need to bend the wire just right to get the stereo sound. G-cell bending it around. Gets it. Tries to stop touching it really fast, but no. The animal cricket wave gives a great supersonic chirp. G-cells feel their very copper wires vibrate before they are no more. The animal's cricket tsunami eats several cells without hindrance. PO folds. P blinks. Lit only leaves a note that says, "It may or may not crick." But now, at the end, having it all and facing it all, I can see that cricket. MU, cricket noises. O, has a weird chirping sound on startup that sounds like a slipping belt, but can't be the belt because O just changed it herself. VP explodes with cricket tune lewd fan art. Shock, fear, horniness, happiness, and or horniness quiets the other cells for a moment. Except for the corner cell. Kerpow. Cricket noises. Bang. Pow. Cricket noises. Get down! Rapid cricket noises. The animal cricket horde altogether floods the corner cell. In the corner cell, Toy has built 2 Greentext vehicles, crashing them together to see which wins. Animal cricket horde blocks out the fluorescent light. Wanna play? Toy and Ann have fun. Shh. This is Sergeant Inunson. Q-Turret magazine's been hit by the Rattitors. We can't contain the Fagire. Seal the bulkheads and void the compartment. Cube speed. Remember us. We need to imprison Redditors there too. Officer Fudmar. Exchange security personnel program. Former range supervisor on Fudlore Prime. On loan of Fudlorian Ministry of Rapid Fire Prevention. Drink coffee and smoke/dip all day in the guard staff lounge. When asked about duty rosters or activity, only points out that the Type 2 phaser pistol is all you need for security and that it was good enough during the Klingon Wars. If pressed, we'll set about scouring the room for empty Type 2 power cells to recycle, especially if they're not mine. May comment on how Romulans will overload their hand disruptors by placing a rifle power cell in a pistol, and that this can and will stop anything short of a Type 2 phaser pistol in the hands of a trained operator. You don't need all that fancy phased energy dynamic cool stuff. Not when there's a good Type 2 phaser pistol and a few power cells at hand. Fuck that, I'm gonna go chill out in the hollow suit for an 8-hour goon sesh. Barclay style with a bunch of hot, scantily clad Romulan women. I'm sure the rest of the guards can take care of whatever goes wrong and that the hollow suit itself won't try to kill me. Does being on a sub suck as much as it seems? 95% of the time it's the worst. 5% of the time it's the coolest shit you'll ever do and you'll remember it fondly forever. So it kinda depends on if that's what's worth to you. Yes, but not as much as the sailors. To piggyback on this, what is the best class of ship to be on? Surface or submarine? Depends on what you like. Skimmers can be wet and rough depending on the weather. Bigger ship, drier and smoother. But you always have the fresh air nearby and more room. Subs are the opposite for the most part. Navy is really for people who like the sea overall. Same for Coast Guard. My country is desperately trying to recruit submariners, but can't retain any, due to imbalance between salary and perks. It seems as a submariner, you forego all benefits normally associated with enlisting. You lose most of the already pitiful amenities. You're working 10 hours a day and spending 14 in a military prison, but not getting paid any more than surface vessel personnel. In fact, you're paid less. When you consider how much less free time you have on board, and the casualty rates of submariners in war look like SAS casualty rates. And it seems that general medical care on subs is very poor compared to surface vessels, and there's less career mobility. They're so desperately short of submarine crew, you'll never be able to transfer out, never get promoted out, never get cross-trained. Once you're in, they'll arc weld you to a station and do everything within their significant power to keep you there. And historically, that's strongly associated with the Army shanghaiing sailors, reneging on military contracts, trying to abduct retired personnel who refuse to voluntarily re-enlist. Fuck out of here. If you try to tell me you're a Navy SEAL and it's not like that, you're a recruiter and won't even admit the Navy did that in the past. It's the norm. It's always been like that. Not even once. Bong? Upside down bong? They're so short of personnel that they'll basically do a FFL deal to get foreign sailors. Hence the term shanghaied. With a war looming, if you happen to have in-demand technical skills, they'll find you. If I wasn't such a motherfucker, they might have tried it. They clearly had pull with my civilian employer. Fuck only knows what the bounty they've got on our heads is. Double fuck the Navy boat ***ers. We had an expression on board. Choose your rate, choose your fate. Your quality of life depends on your job. I was a nuke machinist, mate. It is honestly the one decision that I have made that I regret. Joining the Navy was okay. Subs could be cool. But being a nuke, dealing with the nuclear reactor, was just constant, unmitigated bullshit. Sonar tech and radio men had much easier jobs with plenty of sleep, relatively speaking. Food is good, and the sailors are smarter, which cuts out a lot of the unnecessary BS of suffering from someone else's stupidity on Liberty. You get treated like an adult, not a child. I remember watching the show Super Carrier on the PBS station. Sailors going ashore were subject to inspection of their civilian clothes before going on Liberty. Like they couldn't be trusted to dress appropriately. You won't find that nonsense on a submarine. Why would you want to surround yourself with nothing but a bunch of fellow men, gross smelling like fucking summer sausage and cheap cheese? Sub-operatives are almost always well-educated white men and a bit autistic. The disgusting mystery meat rabble with dubious criminal history is reserved to surface vessels where fuck-ups don't cause the entire boat to implode at the bottom of the ocean with all hands. US subs are co-ed now. Same conditions, but now you have deadweights judging you and creating tension. Fuck, I was looking at 6 years in EW on a surface vessel, and the contract said that at any time they could transfer me to a sub. So I asked if that would also mean transferring to the submariners contract and getting the submariners pay grade. And they really didn't want to talk about it. And then I just asked them straight up how it worked if I was enlisted under a surface vessel's contract. They transferred me to a sub, and I refused to sign any other contract. On what basis would I be serving? Under no contract? So I didn't enlist at all. Fuck the Navy. Fuck them in the ass with a Bofors gun. They might trick 18-year-old kids into it, but professional technical staff? Fuck off. And asking around this seems exactly the issue they are having. Increasingly high need for technical staff, high proportion of technical staff needed on subs, can't convince anyone with technical skills to enlist, anyone stupid enough to enlist is too stupid and trained to that level. Then they want to add your training time onto your service period as if training for a tour is of any benefit to you whatsoever. Commando Dreamin'. Had a very K dream last night. Thought y'all would get a kick out of this one. Me. Decided to go camping at a lake in a woods in an RV with Ma. Pa isn't in the picture for some reason. I guess it'd have to be work related. I should bring some guns to be safe. But what should I take? Decided to take a Desert Eagle in 50 AE, a full-frame revolver in 44 Magnum as backup, and a slightly smaller 357 revolver as a backup for the backup, which I'm pretty sure was a fucking MP412 Rex of all things. Pull up at the lakeside. Get our stuff unpacked. It is at this point that I load the guns, not before leaving home. The 357 is missing. Whatevs. It's in one of our bags somewhere. I'll find it eventually. Most of the morning goes without incident. We raft around the lake a bit, then get ready to get grilling for lunch. At this point, heavy fog rolls in. Visibility is maybe 15 meters. Look up the trail from where the grill's been set near the RV, and that's when I see it. A grizzly bear and a wolf. Our dog, a husky, is distracting them both. Good boy. Used the distraction to fall back to a secondary campsite, which is where the raft dock is about maybe 15 or 20 meters from the RV, which is where I left my guns for some reason, instead of keeping them on my person. Fuck it, I care about my hearing and don't need all this ammo. So I pull a couple of rounds from the Desert Eagle and stuff them in my ears as makeshift earplugs. Upon returning to the RV, the bear is currently up in a tree next to the grill being harassed by Doggy, while Ma is wrestling with the wolf. Decide to go for the bear first since it's technically the bigger threat, and Ma is apparently badass enough to hold a wolf at bay by herself with zero concerns of being hurt. Dump half the mag of 50 AE into the bear's head. The thing flops out of the tree like a sack of potatoes. Transition targets. Press the muzzle into the side of the wolf and dump the rest of the mag, which the thing somehow tanks, but only barely. Ma literally throws it to the ground judo style. Draw 44 Magnum. Finish it with multiple headshots. Thanks to my quick thinking and superior firepower, the day is saved and nobody got hurt. Last thing I remember is looking for my 357 since I spent all my 50 AE and half of my 44. I fucking love my dreams sometimes, bros. I remember having a K dream once. Me, chilling at my parents' place. A helicopter lands in the driveway. Gang of operational operators jumps out. Hey Anon, we're putting a team together. You in? Hell yeah. Gotta get dressed though. Cue them standing around awkwardly, quietly exchanging stares, questioning their decisions as I fail to find my socks for like 15 minutes. Last thing I remember before waking up is not being able to get my plate carrier to fit. Most underwhelming dream ever, Desu. I've never had the infinite trigger pull dream before, but I have had one where someone broke into my house and I was trying to find him, but my weapon light had an approximate output of a mag light that's had the same batteries for 40 years. My friend group's Discord gave me a channel specifically to post my many unconscious machinations. Here's a paste of a few. I had a dream tonight I was being hunted and assassinated by the government for finding their hit list of civilian targets while on a plane following a botched political assassination. I had a dream where we boarded a cruise ship to go to the Bahamas that turned out to be a front for pirates betting on blood games using people they tricked on board. There was one game where you and an opponent would draw a card from a deck, and the drawn card would line up with corresponding method to harm the other guy. First one to pass out or die loses. Examples where a joker corresponds to a plastic knife across the wrist 4 or 5 times. A king of spades was similar but with a standard knife, and one of the very specific cards got you a 22. The better you did in the game, the more freedom on the ship you were given. Like eventually you were able to eat the good food in the buffets like the pirates and rich people betting, but you were being watched by everyone to make sure you didn't bring food and the like to the others. Funny enough, one of those games was Smash Bros. Melee where the loser gets executed. I had a dream where a non-friend and I were in what amounted to the Bahamas where we rented a new Cadillac Escalade to go around the place, finding, and I quote, "Dude, this thing is great. We gotta protect this treasure at all costs." Upon finding how cold the AC blows and the all-wheel drive system. After a little tour around the place in the Escalade with one of the local tour guides, we meet up with a buddy at a KFC over the build your own biscuit deal to discuss how to get better yield of nuclear warheads. Had a dream where I went to a gun shop and bought a variation of the Cobra Red Dot for the RDB for like $500. Open emitter with round reflector, but there was a dial on the back to change the reticle, and it had like a dozen different ones including some random meme setting. One where it was just a block, another that was a variation of a bass jack. I had a dream where Anon and I were at the gun shop with Anon, and multiple other people from our group. While Anon 1 and I were there to check stuff out, we found out everyone else was actually there to do gay pride protest / demonstration and didn't tell us. Anon 1 and I didn't find out until we met up with them and they suddenly formed a circle in the middle of the show and started cheering. Also, before that, Anon 1 and I saw an exchange between Ian McCullum and an obviously autistic girl explaining to her that she can't just handle the 150 plus years old antiques when she sees them. I had a dream where I could inhale and hold my breath to float and slowly exhale to descend. So Anon 1 and I start using that a metric ton. I'm then told while floating over Walmart shelves that apparently everyone knows how to do it, they just choose not to. Y'all boring as fuck, this trick is baller. Also, Anon 1, your house's ceiling car head unit was not up to code. They just shove it into a hole in the wall and zip tie it to one of the studs. Currently floating through the head unit aisle in Walmart for a replacement. I had a dream where North Carolina and Georgia had seceded from the United States and joined the CCCP. The infuriating part was everyone acted like it was fine. Like I guess I didn't get the memo until I looked out my window and saw the flag replaced with a half American, half Chinese flag. Checked the news and one of the first things that was done was a no tolerance law for car law breaking. Like people with sporty cars will have it crushed if they are found to be speeding on freeways. The last thing I remember is considering being a part of the rebellion before waking up. I dream about nuclear war a lot. It's not something I'm afraid of anymore. But the last dream I had was pretty amusing. Being me, with my immediate family plus paternal grandparents. We're on vacation somewhere coastal, clear water, white sand beaches. For some reason my wife is not with us. but my dad, stepmom, sisters, brother, and said grandparents. We arrive at a beach house we're renting, getting unpacked, unloading the boat from the trailer, etc. I'm kind of annoyed because a lot of the day was spent doing tedious errands when I could have been studying, chatting with my brother about my suppressor, but I'm interrupted by distant air raid sirens. Nobody knows what's happening. A nuclear attack. I tell everyone to get down, away from the windows. Moments later, incoming rockets. They're not flying on a ballistic trajectory. They're not even warheads that separated from the missiles. They are complete missiles coming towards the ground. The missiles are flying irregularly, tumbling, and also flying in cartoonishly slow, for an ICBM anyway, yawing about. A lot like the videos of failed space rocket launches. Still, the horizon lights up with several nuclear blasts. The booms get closer. I'm facing a corner face down, covering my head with my jacket. I say, "This is it, everyone. It was good knowing you," in a tone that didn't indicate immediate death. Bright flash, I wake up. I thought the end was funny because of how the missiles came in, but also how inappropriately I reacted. I've had similar dreams before, but they were usually a lot darker, usually revolving around the dilemma of whether me and my coworkers would abandon our duty to look after our families, or to help others. This was my K-dream from years ago. Me, randomly sent back in time to 1989. I know it's 1989 because my Samsung Galaxy Tab 4 tells me so. Apparently in 1989 Bongland, where I am a native, was part of the United States somehow. Go to the USMC recruitment office and enlist. Boot camp goes by in a flash like a COD mission, but it took 2 years because once it's done, I get deployed to Operation Desert Shield. In the Saudi Arabian desert now. I dig a cozy little shell scrape next to an Abrams tank and chill for a bit. Suddenly get ordered to begin combat maneuvers. We have to storm Fallujah, which was a battle in the Second Gulf War, I know. I kick down a door. There's a man waiting on the other side with a PKM machine gun. Dream ends. I remember one a while back. Dark as fuck with a group outside and bumfuck nowhere in the woods. 2 to 3 armed people, with one of them being me. Half a dozen were unarmed. Don't know who any of these people were, but I had an SG-550, so it was sweet. Here's something like a helo approaching but can't see shit. Everyone seeks cover. Sounds like it's right above the group. Seems to pass over, so regroup and start moving. Moments later, spotlight right on us from high above. Oh shit, wake up. Can't say I know what prompted such a dream. Terminator Police Station Aftermath. It's 1984 and a lone gunman commits the deadliest assault on a police precinct in history. 17 deaths and who knows how many severely injured. Witness reports state that the gunman shrugged off several bullets during the shootout. What is the police, state, and government response, and how is it reported by the press? What sort of firepower is issued for those taking part in the manhunt? I immediately take my case to the media that our police officers are hopelessly outgunned in today's violent world, having only 38 revolvers. At my lead, police departments across the country undergo a complete shift to more modern firearms, and soon every officer is equipped with real stopping power as 9mm semi-autos become the norm. Clearly just a perp high on PCP, nothing out of the ordinary. There appear to be very few sightings or photographs of the T-800 in exoskeleton form or the T-1000 transforming. Also this, how would they know the 800 is even a robot? They would probably assume it's some body armor and a few bad shots by the cops. In Terminator 2, this is almost exactly what happens, and they respond with SWAT and all sorts of shit as soon as they realize it's the same perp fucking everything up. What sort of firepower is issued to those taking part in the manhunt? Furthest they would go is probably 40mm grenade launchers. Otherwise, their best bet would be requisitioning some armored vehicles to fuck up the T-800. This is 1984 after all. Police were still anemic as fuck at this time. They probably have no earthly fucking clue. I think most of the people who got up close and got a good look and see at the phone book killer ignoring their bullets are also those who are very promptly killed in response. Before passing, a lot probably thought, wait, is he even a human being? Was that metal I heard and saw? But he's wearing just clothes. Clang. What the fuck do you mean, clang? Many survivors probably second-guess themselves on whether or not they even hit. And some are not reliable witnesses due to being badly injured and maybe drifting out of consciousness. Some kind of body armor is one assumption, but he does get visibly shot in the head and neck, I think, which is harder to rationalize. Realistically, I think that you would need to either focus fire with an M2HB to reliably try and break down the T-800, but he's not going to stand still for that. Or you would need something that penetrates like the devil, and by that I mean something like the M72 Law, a shape charge to truly blast his skeleton apart. I think also about that one cop in the squad car after the Tech Noir shooting. He got his ass beat, but he probably lived. Do you think he could recall that encounter? And then add that up with the later police station massacre? Maybe that was his precinct and he had the fortune of going to the ER for a gash on his head instead of being killed with his comrades. Many years later, he turns up again, and it feels like the cops aren't freaking out quite enough, given the sheer boogeyman reputation he must have had with the LA cops. All of that lines up to an easy rationalization. The phone book killer is a spree killer wearing some kind of homemade metallic armor under his clothes. His ability to shrug off hits can be attributed to drugs, and his sudden disappearance indicates he later died from his wounds. Maybe, but he'd have to be real skinny to hide something like that underneath his clothes. Yet he looks natural, and he does visibly bleed and tear when injured. Tech Noir bouncer. He went in without paying. I tried to stop him, but he crushed my hand. Moments later, he pulled out a machine gun and started shooting. Were any pieces of artificial bioskin recovered and analyzed? Even in the 80s, the tech wasn't quite there yet for any conclusive analysis. At most, they would get the genetic markers for most future living tissue T-800 models. But with only one, it would probably look and be detected as perfectly normal human dermis tissue sample. The best part about Terminator is theorizing how the world would react after the second attack. There would undoubtedly be a mass investigation, and I feel it would be quickly found out that Arnold isn't a normal person at all, especially considering there would be little to no muscle tissue in any recovered samples of his flesh. What would happen after that, personally, I think a new Cold War would erupt over who can make the first Terminator. Would be a better concept for a Salvation-like prequel than all that bullshit we've gotten so far. Trump says U.S. military used discombobulator weapon in Maduro capture. The remarks follow reports this week that members of Maduro's guard team experienced bleeding from a mysterious weapon. What the fuck is a discombobulator? The remains of the 32 Cuban guards killed during the U.S. raid to capture Maduro on January 3rd have arrived in Cuba this morning. What the fuck did we do to them? Also, is this what did this? Still falling for this shit? All I'm saying is that if a man says he's got a discombobulator and the people he used it on come back in a fucking soup can, I'd like to know what the hell it is. Cuba just cremated all the bodies because they couldn't afford to ship that many coffins. Their shit's fucked. Also, those bodies were discombobulated beyond recognition. What the fuck is a discombobulator? You throw it, and it discombobulates. Personally, I prefer the incendiary grenades. What the fuck is a discombobulator? The opposite of a recombobulator? The enemy doesn't have that technology. Sound is a wave. Also, light is a wave. When you focus it, like in lasers, it travels in a narrow path with more energy and further. There is literally no reason you couldn't crack a skull open with a powerful sound wave focused on a narrow point. Sound is a wave and a particle, just like light. That's why it doesn't go through solid objects. Laser ultrasounds are used already to kill tumors. I think it does that by causing cavitation. Now, infrasounds travel up to tens of kilometers away, but they probably use some microwave to cause the effect. Still, a more compressed sound wave could easily work as a dazzler. Delta was backed up by a squad of howling banshees, presumably a spicy LRAD. Sound is a fucking wave, not a particle. You probably think that, but it doesn't go through the moon, now does it? That's because the moon rays reflect it. It's why the moon is shiny at night, and you need to wear moon glasses, to look at it when its power is doubled by the sun during a solar eclipse. I always put on a copper paste before I go out at night to prevent cancer. Artist's rendering of the Maduro raid. This entire thread is because a retard OP doesn't know the language he speaks and is too stupid to look up word definitions. Almost like he was discombobulated. I sure hope we have recombobulators available, should a discombobulator fall into enemy hands. The entirety of K casually forgets the US flipped all the German scientists at the end of the war. Buckle up, this is just the beginning of Black Site Area 51 tier projects going into production. To discombobulate means to confuse/disorient. You fucking ESLs. A fucking flashbang does that. Meanwhile, on 2370K, I fucking lucked out. Just graduated Academy. First assignment, the new Intrepid class. Fastest design. Bioneural gel packs. Fancy new EMH. Sleek and sexy Aero shuttle. I really need to use it. We've already got our first assignment. Something about hunting down anti-Cardassian partisans in some nebula patch. But what about the Klingon pussy? That's my new holodeck program. Goth tomboy Klingon catgirls. I hope it's not the Badlands. I've heard rumors about ships vanishing. Alright, which one of you jackasses brought this weird alien cheese on board? Now the computer is sick. The ship's running a fever and the bunks smell like an unwashed ball sack. Are scants the future of roadie short shorts? Hey guys, our official manifest of photon torpedoes is 35, right? I just did the head count, we've got like 150. That's gotta be a clerical error. Why would we go into an active war zone between our own citizens and a hostile power with over 100 extra antimatter warheads? I'm worried about the tricobate warheads. What the hell are we doing with these? That feeling when you found yourself on not only a gunrunner ship heading into a war zone, but also a spacefaring war crime. We're not a warship, so how can we commit war crimes? It was always hilarious to me that the Federation would send their equivalent of a nuclear aircraft carrier out into space to make first contact. Oh, don't mind us. We just have a ship that can literally wipe all life from your planet. We're completely peaceful. Hey, would you like to read this pamphlet about how great our particular political and economic structure is? We'd love to see you around. Toodles! The Borg are like space bears. If you power down and look as pathetic as possible, they won't bother assimilating you. Those retards were basically pulling a sci-fi version of the Grizzly Man. Until the hive mind decides your patheticness is interesting for some reason. Shit happens even in non-spacefaring species with fucking greenhouses. All you have to do is be about as pathetic as the Kazon and the Borg will leave you alone forever. Just so that you don't contaminate the collective. The fuck's a Kazon? Some new Delta species? I don't know, guys. After that treaty we signed with the Dominion, I still got a bad feeling about those fucks. Aren't they all about playing the long game or something pretentious like that? Who's to say they aren't working on another shield bypassing weapon as we speak? Maybe you spoonheads should try not being pure evil. I'm talking about the peace treaty that ended the war. I'm no spoonhead. Those scaly fucks got what was coming to them by volunteering themselves as soldier cattle for the happy shapeshifters. Ended what war? This is 2370. We haven't been at war since the Cardassians. Wait, do you have future knowledge? You can't just go around spouting out shit about future wars with the Dominion. The Temporal Prime Directive isn't a suggestion. The Time Glowies will ship your ass off to rural Pinth. Fucking temporal anomalies, I swear to God, this is the 5th time this week. I don't want to talk to the Time Glowies again. That feeling when your ship is doing a cultural exchange with the Klingon Empire. The officer we got is female. Keeps giving me the look. A couple times when there's no one else around complains that the environmental controls must be malfunctioning and unzips her uniform. So far I can tell she doesn't shave down there. Keep spamming my personal mail asking if I would like her to show me how to bring glory to my house. The bedroom in particular. Is she playing some kind of trick on me or is this legit? Because I would definitely like to cross Klingon chick off my bucket list. You're not going to have the opportunity to cross anything off your bucket list if you go for it. Bite her face and you're in. No. She bites your face if she's interested. You have to subdue her and bite her neck / collarbone to show her that you returned the gesture. It's like no one on this ship has ever had a fractured pelvis before. Sorry, man, most of my holodeck encounters are bratty Bajoran tomboys. Used to them Bajorans infiltrating you with stealth. Them Klingons will kick your door down. Stealthy Klingons exist. They scream in your face after shanking you in the gut instead of before. It's just a fancy shakedown cruise, right? Forgot to settle my tab at Quark's before we left. Careful, I hear that crafty bastard charges interest. How would K go about robbing it? Hard mode, no derailing the train. Legendary mode, no killing anyone. Block the rail with some trees or a boulder. What are we robbing? The value, type, and weight of the target changes a lot of things. Fuck your rules. Derails the train. Name my organization the CIA. Derail the train, kill everybody, appropriate whatever material wealth hasn't been destroyed in the process, use the gains to fund fundamentalist guerrilla and or terror cells incompatible with civilization itself. It never happened. Deploy a green agenda that makes coal unavailable on international markets, or at least unaffordably expensive and illegal to export. That is clearly a steam locomotive, so it would grind to a halt. Next, convince the passengers to buy my crypto coin, having them give me their money willingly. Then rug pull them. I don't know if you can, man. The conductor might have some kind of supernatural shit up his sleeve. The whole thing seems like kind of a Christmas Carol meets Room 1408. Rob it? I'm going to have sex with the running gears. I'll probably get my dick ripped off when they throttle up to dislodge me, but I don't give a shit. Fuck the magic train. Grease the tracks on a remote uphill section. Force it to slow down by releasing cows on tracks. Board train and force engineers to dump steam and water and stop stoking fire. At that point, it's not going anywhere. Then rob passengers / take goods. Then ride off on horse. Cut telegraph lines as soon as train's in sight to prevent calls for help. Pick somewhere that's a few miles away from anywhere it's expected and you'll have a good head start. Finally, find a place to stash loot in the middle of nowhere and cover your tracks. Wait a year or so before trying to sell or fence the loot. It's a magic train run by Saint Nick, a literal saint. God has given him the power to bring cheer to children, and you want to try your hand at robbing his wards. You will be turned into a lump of coal before you even step outside. Just put one of these bad boys on the track around a sharp corner or on a bridge. I never got how these are supposed to destroy 1,000,000 tons of steel instead of just being destroyed themselves. Basically, in judo, you use an opponent's momentum and weight against them. It's basically a ramp that sends the wheels up and off the rails. Ideally, they're supposed to be used in a controlled and deliberate fashion at low speeds. This helps prevent shock loading and all the fun that accompanies that. Will it derail a train at speed? Yes, but only once, and very messily. Hard mode, no derailing the train. Does suplexing it count as derailing? Spicy coal. Fentanyl in the air vents. I derail it, then kill everyone. Why would I rob a bunch of kids? I think the Bohemians have the answer to this riddle. I can script the hobo to help me and crash the train with no survivors. I put a penny on the tracks. But why are you robbing it in the first place? What do a bunch of kids in PJs have of value? I report them to the FRA for operating a locomotive without a boiler certificate. The Polar Express is undead. At first I was going to argue, but you know, you might be onto something. Entire train consists of a bunch of creepy looking kids and Tom Hanks playing like 5 different characters. Pretty easily, I imagine. The CGI in this movie was really uncanny. Uncanny motion capture CGI was kinda Zemeckis' thing in the 2000s. I get hired as the conductor after the previous conductor disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Once we're way out in no man's land, I bring the train to a halt at a predetermined location where my buddies are waiting. Force all of the passengers off in the freezing cold as we take all valuables and belongings except clothes. Then we fuck off in our new magic train. Put a red flag on long uphill. Force engineers to dump water and roll into coaches. Bottle air and cut coaches away. Roll downhill. Throw valuables off in predetermined spot. Jump off and collect goodies later. Everyone on the train's unarmed. Not that hard, probably don't even need a real gun. Pump the vents full of vent. Fuck your rules. A gun so bad it almost causes a cultural crisis due to known problem. So what will the military inevitably replace this with next year? My guess is Glocks. Man, they're still selling for full price. Whatever the truth is, the average fat ass is still gonna buy whatever the army has. Not putting too much stock into it, but even Trump himself tweeted how the P320 is an unsafe gun that can go off randomly. There's a non-zero chance the MAGA crowd kicks the SIG to the curb. Though knowing Trump, he'd insist on adopting gold tiger stripe deagles and 50 deagle, which would be baller, don't get me wrong, but it'd also be dumb. If it's Trump, then he would unironically want HK, being that he said he had an HK-45 pistol as a bedstand gun. So the VP9 will become the new military pistol matching with the Japanese Self-Defense Force. I thought they adopted the P30. Also, yeah, while that makes sense, standard issue deagles would be very funny. The P30 might in contention if a hypothetical test feels that striker guns are not safe for the US military. Would be funny if after 10 years we just go back to double action, single action. Maybe Beretta can get its contract back. Fuck your mother. Another SIG wouldn't surprise me in this timeline. So what will the military inevitably replace this with next year? My guess is Glocks. Glock 19 MHS, which is what should have won to begin with. No! Glock can go fuck themselves after half-assing their MHS submission. Also, bring back the fucking hammers. No Kydex, no trigger dangles. You can take all the M&Ps, the HKs, and all the designer striker slop and shove it up your fucking ass.
Going back to old Yazoo, 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 lump, 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 lump it up.